Hi everyone, Monica for Craftin Desert Divas here, and today we're going to be showcasing the Party Borders dies. So what you get in this set are 3 separate dies. This first die that we come across are the fringe dies, and this is actually pretty nifty because it doesn't necessarily fully cut out of the card because there is no end cut here, so it can be a part of a complete card. Because this doesn't fully cut out, you will get detailed stitching on the top and on the bottom of this full cutout line. You can even curl the fringe to get some flare. You also have the option of actually cutting the die out fully, and this can be done one of 2 ways. You can either cut out the card to size at the length of the die, or you can use scissors to trim it apart. The next die in this set is the balloon border. This offers lovely detailed stitching on the bottom and then also on the top that you see here. There's also more detailing in this die with the line that cuts out the balloon, as well as these little shine marks. This is a nice little detail because you can use white cardstock to fill in those accents, or you can just leave them empty and you will be able to see through the actual die itself. Again, you can either trim your card to size and cut it out since there's no end cuts here, or you can use scissors just to trim it off. The final die in this set is this beautiful Scalloped Banner Die. This die has a lot of stitch detailing, as well as these beautiful thin swags that come across the die itself. This particular die fully trims out, so that will leave you with this beautiful detailed stitching at the top, as well as within the die that you see here on the scallops. And this is the perfect type of die for the quilted style card making. These dies come attached by a thin metal tab, and you can separate them one of 2 ways. The first way is by using wire cutters, getting as close to the die as you can and snipping across. Using wire cutters, you get a nice clean cut that you can see here, and you don't get much left over. Using cutters makes it easier to remove these tabs that you see here. Now the second option is simply to bend your die back and forth in order for it to release from each other, as you can see here. Now you'll just want to clean up those tabs just a bit so it doesn't ruin or scratch your paper. Now our dies are nice, neat, and trimmed, ready for our project. So let's get to some die cutting. Now I'm going to set up my Cuttlebug to cut these out. I'm going to start with my A plate as the base, and then I'm going to place the C plate, which is the cutting plate. I've used cardstock that is cut to 5 1/8 inch. This will be the perfect dimension for these 2 border dies, the fringe and the balloon. These 2 do not have end cuts. As you can see, the top of the fringe border leaves a nice detailed stitching, which can be a part of your card. In order to remove it from the cardstock, simply pull it apart gently so that it doesn't tear. Once you have successfully removed this from your cardstock, you'll see that there's this lovely detailed stitch across the top, and this just adds more character to your card. This here would make a nice lovely white space on your card. So now on to the balloon, and you want to be careful also with removing this just to make sure you don't tear, because there's some thin parts to the die, and just ignore this top portion. You would have a straight edge. So let's start with the negative. As you can see here, there's detailed stitching in the negative of the die cut, and then you also have this detailed stitching across the top that you see here. You also have these little details for the balloon shine. And all you have to do is simply pop them out. Okay, now I'm just going to neaten this up a little bit and trim off the top, just for the sample that we're going to use today. Moving along, we're going to take a look at this Scallop Border die. We're going to use 5 1/4 inch cardstock to cut this out. And that is because it will fully cut out of this cardstock. And on the cardstock, you're going to notice that there's going to be detailed stitching both on the positive and the negative. So let's take a look. Here we have the border die, and there is a negative space. In this negative space, you'll see that there is the stitch detail across the top, and this is perfect for quilted style card making. Now, gently remove your actual cutout because sometimes it can get stuck to the cutting plate. I like using a palette, but for now, I'll use my scissors. So, as you can see here, this particular die has tons of detail, and the first amount of detail are these stitched cuts, and then you also have these wonderful thin swags. Again, this is perfect for the quilted style card making, and there you have it. And maybe you only want to use this detailing at the top. You can simply use your scissors to snip it out. Using 5 1/4 inch cardstock, I used the fringe die to cut this out, and this will remain attached. As you can see here, I'm simply going to pull this apart gently so that the fringe comes up, and as I go along, I'm just going to curl it with my thumb to make it kind of stand up here. And as you can see, I'm just going to simply curl it gently. Now, using 5 1/4 inch cardstock, we're going to use the balloon dies in the same fashion that we did the fringe die. So this will not fully cut out of your cardstock. And here we go. These are the balloons cut out as an attachment, and we're going to first begin by cleaning up the detailing and the shine of the balloon. Using something sharp, you want to be able to push through these small cutouts. With that done, we can now work on the balloons and start pushing them up and away from the base of the card. You can also add in some dimensionals so that it maintains its shape. The final dimensions on the Scallop Border die are 1 inch tall by 5 3/16 inch wide. The fringe border die measures 1 inch tall by 5 3/16 inch wide as well. The measurements of the balloon border die are 1.5 inch tall by 5 1/16 inch wide. That goes for the positive as well as the negative. Thank you for watching Crafting Desert Divas. Don't forget to subscribe and visit our website at craftingdesertdivas.com.